Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me here at the Real Tea. I am absolutely ecstatic to have you here tonight. My name is Catrice, and you're here to get the tea with me on tonight. If this is the first time that you are watching my channel or have visited my channel, definitely hit the like and subscribe button. That is how you will receive notifications anytime that we are on. And here tonight on the tea, um, I will be talking to you tonight about toxic people, narcissist behaviors, frenemies, interpersonal disasters, personality collisions, those types of things is that we talk about all the time, or we may deal with all the time, and may really not know what we're dealing with. So definitely that is the topic for tonight's so now, if this is your first time tuning in, let me just share with you that my show is very versatile. We talk about different subjects. We talk about life events, current events, subjects, things of that nature. And a lot of times when we're doing activities such as cooking, crafting, I am a jack of all trades and a master to none. So I'm absolutely happy that you joined us. So we'll get right into it tonight. Now, um, the reason that I chose toxic people, toxic relationships, toxic interactions is simply because to bring awareness. Um, and so that you know how to identify, how to recognize that you're in a toxic relationship or in a toxic situation. Because sometimes if we don't know what we're dealing with, this is why we may handle things the way that we're handling them. And I can definitely speak from personal experience. I have been in a toxic relationship before, and it was very hard to identify simply because I had dealt with it for so long that I thought it was normal. And so this is something that can also happen to you, one of you. And so um, I was doing some research on toxic relationships and things of that nature. Stumbled upon a researcher, and his name is George S. Everly. Now, this researcher was telling about a time that he was writing some information for a grant. And there were other researchers that were also writing on the same grant. And what happened was he found himself being extremely critical of the other researchers. And so there was also a mentor. He didn't tell who the mentor was, but I found what he said the mentor said very, very intriguing. What he said was that, this is verbatim, by the way, the mentor told him there are two types of people in the world, those that contribute and those that distract. This is so true. Those that contribute and those that distract. Now, the reason that that was intriguing to me is because that is so true. And you have to really ask yourself, which one are you? Are you the person that contributes? Are you the person that distracts? Or are you dealing with a person that contributes? Someone that's making a contribution to your life. I don't necessarily mean like monetarily or anything like that, but making a contribution to your life through by providing you with love, with support. If someone does not contribute to your life, they definitely distract. So I used to hear my mother has said several times, it's either you're part of the solution or you're part of the problem. And so that's how you know what type of person you're dealing with. Um, because if they're not bringing something to your table, if they didn't show up to the table with something, then guess what? They're taking from the table. And so you definitely have to be able to distinguish between the two. And that's one way that you know. Um, you know, it'll help you to be able to pick your friends wisely. I know for myself, I've had the same friend for many, many moons of years, at least 30. My best friend, her name is Kim, and Kim and I have been friends for very close to 30 years. So when you have a friend and the friend lessens your adversity. So if you go to your friend and you're talking to your friend about a problem that you're having and they have no solution at all, or they are, because 9 times out of 10, if you went to your friend, you're venting to them. You're venting to them. And what you're venting to them about may be something in the realm of your children, your spouse, your friends, your job. And if there's no positivity within the interaction that you're having with the person that you went to, that's not the person that you should have. And this is what I mean by lessening adversity. Also, when your friend, when you go to your friend should also be able to lighten your load. Same as lessening your adversity, just on a different level. You want them to lighten your load for whatever reason. If that friend has nothing but girl, I'll leave him. Girl, I'll do that too. Forget them. Forget that job. Someone who tells you something like that is not your friend. They're not your friend. And so, and could very well fall under the realm of being a toxic person or in a toxic position. So you definitely want to be able to recognize those things. Your friends come with consistency in behavior. What I mean by that is simply that you already know what to expect out of your friend, especially if you've been friends with that person for a very long time. You began to know what to expect of that person. I know what to expect out of Kim. I'm just speaking of her in general. I have many friends, but she happens to just be my best friend. Is why I'm speaking of her. But I know what to expect from her. For true friends, you don't have to babysit. So, so for instance, I can go a long period of time without talking to Kim. And when I call her, we will pick up where we left off the last time we talked. And that's because she is mine and I am her true friend. So that's how you know when you have true friends, and that's when you know what you're dealing with. And that's just one of the very ways. But for the most part, when you have friends, that's how you know. That's exactly how you know. They don't require daily interaction. They don't require that you are there every second of the day because everybody has lives, children, jobs, hobbies. So you don't have to interact with your friend every day. If your friend requires that you interact with them every day, um, I don't know. You would really need to reevaluate, what type of friendship you have. Now, on the other hand, on the flip side of the coin, I talk to my sister every day. We don't miss many days talking to each other, but that's a whole other level. I'm just speaking in terms of toxicity, if that's a word, uh, about the different levels of friendships and the different levels of the way that you may deal with a person so that you know what it is you're doing. Definitely. So just be careful. Now, when people show you who they are, believe them. That's a quote by our lady and great Maya Angelou. If a person shows you who they are, believe them. Um, Because if you don't believe them, or if you go and allow this to happen again, sort of like second chances, most of the time they just become in the world of toxic. Um, the same behavior are not mistakes. They're not. I'm just really being so for real. There are not mistakes. They're just clearly repeat offenders. You don't. No one does the same thing to you, and then and you allow people to do the same thing because then that falls in the realm of what is going on here. They have self-esteem issues um, because you cannot allow someone to continue to walk over you. My husband referred to him um, as a punching bag, or a verbal punching bag. You don't have to allow that for people, or a physical punching bag, whatever they're doing. If they're repeating the same twisted behavior over and over, you can't allow that to happen to you because then that weighs on you as a person. It really, really does. And don't get me wrong, this can happen. This can happen. It really, really can. But at the end of the day, that is not something normal. It's not normal behavior. It's not something that you ever have to put up with. It is okay. Some of us are afraid to be by ourselves. But sometimes you have to be by yourself in order to know how to be with someone else. And that's just a self experience talking right now. Because again, it happened to me. So I don't want to, just because I'm on the other side of the camera speaking to you, don't be um, misled by any chance. This is personal experience that I'm speaking to. And if you're dealing with these things, please, please, please just pay attention. I asked my sister last night, what is a breaking point? Because I know what my breaking point was. I wanted to hear from someone else. What is your breaking point when you're dealing with someone toxic, or whether it's a friend, in this case, a so-called friend of hers and she said that when she have done the best that she can do, that is when she was able to walk away from that person. And that is the truth. Your best is not good enough. It is time to change gears. It is time to change position. It is time to do something else outside of dealing with the same toxic behavior from the same toxic person. It doesn't matter. You have to know your worth, know how much you can take, and only you know how much you can take. Just analyzing to find out what is it that I am going to do, or why am I still dealing with the same behavior? Like it's way too short to deal with toxic behavior. It really, really is. And so once you're able to identify these things, you'll be able to know what to do. Toxic people tend to speak to you in a certain manner. For instance, I myself was in a toxic relationship, and even in the way that my spouse called me, my spouse at that time called me or answered, should I say. If you call your spouse and they answer you, what do you want? It's not normal. That's not how you address someone when they speak to you. If you're talking to your friend and they even speak to you in a manner of such, not doing it. I had dealt with that for so long until I thought that that was normal. I thought that was the way that a man answered a woman. But in fact, it's not. And with it goes to the level of verbal abuse, basically. And with verbal abuse, you literally would almost rather be hit than to take verbal abuse. It's almost worse than physical abuse. It really, really is. And so that's when I was watching a movie because the man kept calling me out of my name. Wasn't calling me Trace. I was being called other. And so I was watching, I want to say, Medea's Family Reunion or something like that. And on that movie, Tyler Perry said, "It's not what you're called, it's what you answer to." And that stuck with me for a very, very long time. It really, really did because I was being called out of my name, and I figured out that I had to do. I had to break free. And that was to physically remove myself from the toxic situation that I was in. Now, the way that you know, I know three ways that you can know for sure that this is a toxic person that you're dealing with. And the way that you know is toxic people typically take more than they give. Most of the time, they want all the time, quick to take, quick to take, slow to give. In some situations where you're dealing with a toxic person, nothing is ever their fault. So the two go hand in hand. Taking more than they give. And an example is, or an example is when you um, are finding yourself putting more into someone than they're putting into you. That's toxic. It is very toxic. Um, they never respect boundaries. If you have a person who doesn't, even if it's your friend, doesn't understand the fact that you work and you have things to do and calls you during work hours, that's just a joke. A lot of people probably do work hours, but honestly, they don't respect your boundaries. What you have over here at your home or in your area or whatever it is that you do, that's your circle. Toxic people don't mind crossing those lines. They really, really don't because they need a lot of attention. And I do mean a lot of it. Um, Toxic people are, what about me? What about me? In that same toxic relationship, if my tooth hurt it, so did he. If my eye hurt it, so did he. What about me? What about me? That's just total toxic behavior. Total toxic behavior. And you really, really, really have to wonder, you know, what happened to them that caused them to be toxic. I find that most of the time something in their life where, you know, if you don't get as much attention as you should have or they thought that they should have gotten when they were smaller, maybe that's what happened. That's another show, some more research. But nonetheless, as far as toxic people are and you dealing with them and knowing that you're dealing with them. What are we gonna do once we find out, or once we realize that these are toxic? Um, in my case, I ran, and I mean ran truly fast, simply because toxic people are not worth your. The third way you know that this is a toxic person that you deal with, they lack empathy when it matters. I had a situation to happen when I was grieving very hard. And a person told me that I didn't wish their husband happy birthday while I was grieving. And to me, I thought on the inside that was the straw. That was the straw. Now that's just an example of people who lack empathy, but that's also an example of a toxic person. You have to take out that time for you. And someone who doesn't understand that you have to take out that time for you, they're not worth your, they're not worth your attention. And they're definitely not worth your friendship, your relationship, or any other shit. It's not worth it. Toxic people pollute the things that they're around. A job, children, your family. You have to protect your peace, and having toxic people around will pollute your peace. So you definitely have to be careful with toxic people. My last point in this toxic subject is, and I just wanted to read this verbatim to you, is to let go of people who dull your shine, poison your spirit, bring drama to your life, cancel your prescription to their issues. Cancel it. I wrote a poem, and I'm closing with this poem that I wrote. And the poem is called Second Chances, because second chances is something that I never ever did before. And the one time that I gave a person a second chance, it was the most terrible thing I could ever do in my life, because I was miserable, very miserable. So the poem goes, second chances. You know, second chances, that's just not what I do. But the love is blind when I'm you, tugging and pushing to convey the strength of the strong, putting my foot down, taking respect down, and all the time about to drown. His mother came over, cleaned up the blood, and after a few words with me, we hugged, talked, and at the end, forgive. That was to be fair. But in the heat of the moment, before crying, up until this point, I talked to everybody, sharing life stories, opinions, advice, criticism, scandalism. Who really cared? At the arraignment, shaking of heads, girl, let me tell you, shut up, let me find out. Whole body sore from the neck to the sole of the feet that walk down the aisle to death do us apart. In this all body pain, and the funny thing is, I was never even hit. Lots of apology and feelings like care in the air, but my eyes are dry from crying. My vision is blurry because reality has just become a technicality. The morning after comes with breakfast, salmon, grits, biscuits, eggs. Want to have a bite, but there's one problem. Time to go. The words shut the air off, but my feet, they can't run. How will this end? Second chances, the brand of bullets for the gun. I transfer motion. Evil. Really good. Preacher Paul blood hair red like the little engine that second chances Jesus gave, but he could rise again. I can't, so silently I decide to be the one that wins. Somehow, some way, prayer can cover and take control. Second chances, Paul Bearers, cake bake, a second chance, visualize what didn't say. Second chances, even sport, second chances, I will never anymore. Second chances was like being cursed with a curse. Second chances went from worse to worse. Second chances, I let go. Finally free. Second chances, I tell you, I just those are just the words from the wise. And I hope if you're out there tonight, you're dealing with this type of an issue, if you're dealing with toxic behaviors, toxic people, you're in a toxic relationship, I guarantee you get the strength to just remove yourself from that situation. Don't be afraid because there is light at the end of the tunnel and there's help for you. You are important. You are beautiful. You are everything that you can be, everything that you want to be, no matter who says that. I do thank you so much for joining me tonight at the Real Tea. It is a pleasure for me to provide you with knowledge on my road to 50. You know, I'm on my road to 50. And I definitely do thank you for allowing me to embrace you with the tea. You guys have nothing else. I know y'all don't have nothing else because I definitely don't have anything else. But God bless you. And again, I do thank you so much for joining me here. Be blessed. Until next time.